Hey Grant, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
All right.
Have a good weekend?
Yeah. How's school going?
Oh, so far so good. Couple group projects that are unfortunate with some group members, but kind of used to that by now.
Yeah. Are you involved in the Pirate Challenge at all?
Not really. I kind of go and attend just to show some support, but I'm not doing anything
Is your
actually.
guy leaving the area, that doctor?
He is, yeah, he's going to Arizona.
No, it's too bad.
Yeah, so I think he kind of bought me out over the weekend. Um,
Say what?
so I gave him the last check from the challenge, and he sent me a Venmo for a couple $100. So I think I'm kind of cut out now.
Yeah.
real
Well,
subtle. Just kind of shoots me a couple $100 over Venmo.
yeah.
Uh,
Huh, that's funny.
it's unfortunate, but I mean, he was
Yeah.
going to Arizona in a couple months anyway. So
How old is he? He's older, right?
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but he's married with kids. So I'd
Oh,
say
wow. Yeah.
28 or 30, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Huh.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm doing great. Had a little fun fact for you this morning.
All right.
Um, your intern, Marco Agostini, used to
Yeah.
be in my 4-H club that I led.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. He was actually a charter member, and he designed our logo that we
Oh,
had.
wow.
And that was like over a decade ago. So,
Oh my goodness. So he was probably what, 12 years old or something?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
I can
wow.
send you some photos if you'd like to tease him.
Oh, absolutely. That's worth its weight in gold right there.
Uh, he is a great guy. He really is. He comes from a great family and smart fellow. And
Yeah,
so he was a part of
he's
our
really,
homeschool.
really talented. We're not a big budget operation, and to have a guy with his ability is really a treat. From working with Shopify and stuff like that. That's it's just amazing the work he has done. Really on a very less than part-time basis, really. So, yeah, we've been very glad to have. Was he able to help you with your site?
Back then we only just really had a Facebook page. It's one of those things.
Okay, I gotcha.
But I also see right behind you is the Natural Bridge.
Yes.
And I grew up near there.
Where?
In a little town called Buchanan, Virginia.
Know it well. I lived in Lexington for a long time,
Oh my
and
goodness. That's crazy.
yeah, and I actually lived at Wintergreen for about 15 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
That's
know Buchanan's beautiful. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm there. And so all
Wow.
road all roads lead back to North Carolina, I guess.
Well, I married a woman who was from North Carolina. That's how I ended up here. Um, so I like the weather a lot better personally.
I agree. I married my husband that grew up in Wilson. So yes,
Okay.
I agree. Most definitely the weather just makes it all great.
Yeah, big difference. I'm originally from upstate New York, up on Lake Ontario.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was really a snowy, cold place when I was a kid.
I'm
And
sure.
I I don't know if global warming has impacted them or not, but it's it's a lot better not to have snow. And here in Pink Hill, in the last 4 or 5 years, I think we've had maybe 2 snow days or maybe 3 at the most.
Oh,
And
wow.
it never stays longer than a day. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm a big fan. So, all right.
Well,
Hey, Judy, how are you today? Gloria, Kat, how are you?
I'm doing
well.
great. How are you all
Hey,
doing?
good morning.
Good. Everyone have a good weekend, hopefully?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Dennis, I just heard you saying you said something about Shopify, and I'm probably want to switch to Shopify from what I'm on now. And what were you saying about it? I just kind of caught the end of that.
We have an intern who works with us who can help, with Shopify in a variety of ways. He's not a start to finish consultant or anything like that, but he's really good at fixing things or helping you get up and running with Shopify. So his name is Marco Agostini. So just send me a little note and I'll forward it to him, and he can chat with you and see if that helps you. What are you on now?
Well, I'm on Etsy, and through Etsy you can do, a sort of a separate dedicated site through Pattern. They're in a partnership, and I'm basically trying to get away from Etsy, which therefore means also Pattern. It doesn't function as well. And I've been talking to other small business owners that do different things, more high tech stuff, and they're all about Shopify. So it's kind of time to make the switch if I can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's there's different ways to go about it. There are these things called Shopify Partners, which is it's a designation that people get from Shopify that basically shows they know what they're doing. And we have a really great relationship with a guy who I think he's considered the #1 Shopify partner, certainly one of the top. It's called Webinopoly.
Okay.
And he generally will give our students a good deal, but more importantly, he has 50 developers on his team, and he can really show you what to do and how to do it. It costs a little bit of money, but it's way, way cheaper than anywhere else for that level of expertise.
Okay. Something like that would be amazing.
Yeah. He'll save you a lot of time. And he's been doing Shopify since the beginning. He just really knows how to do stuff. So I'll connect you with him. Webinopoly, just like Monopoly, only Webinopoly.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
His name is Mo Farhat, MOE. His first name, last name is FARHAT.
Okay.
So I'll give you his contact information, or Grant, if you have it, you can post it. But one way or the other, we'll get it to you. But I really like him, and he's done a bunch of sites for people in this class over the last year and a half or whatever it's been.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in that too, Dennis. Because I feel like my website has been working for me, but I'm sure it can work a lot better for me. And I'd love to have an expert have a look at it and see his opinion. Yeah.
I think I'd also encourage you to chat with Marco. He's really good at kind of basic troubleshooting. And, if you have a particular issue, he's real good at doing that. And I don't know, we get different helpers every semester or whatever. So I don't know if we have anyone else. Maybe Grant knows about this kind of stuff. Whether we have anybody who is able to help, on the design side. I don't think Marco is necessarily a designer. He's more of a programmer, developer type. But anyway, we'll get that out to you or post it on the Facebook page so everybody knows what to do on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape here. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for coming. I do want to share with you, I had an unusual weekend in the sense that I was a guest speaker at the North Carolina Farm Bureau convention in Raleigh. And so it was pretty interesting talking to people. Most of them were farmers or ranchers, I guess. I'm not quite sure that it was a younger group. I think they're called the Young Farmers and Ranchers or something like that. I'm not sure. But there was a lot of interest in what we're doing, what you guys are doing, and shared some examples of you all and your sites and so forth. And so that was kind of fun. One of the things that I learned that, and I don't know if there's an opportunity here, I haven't really thought it all the way through. There's actually an organization in North Carolina that is about agritourism. And what they do is they basically do a lot of tours, is the best I can say. And that includes virtual tours, because of the pandemic. But there's apparently quite a few places that do that kind of thing. And some of them might be opportunities for you all to sell your product or display your product or have like an event or a show, in conjunction with one of them. I know the lady that I talked to, who is the president of that association, her name is Lee Raskin. And I think it's Apple Hill Farm in, I think it's Watauga County. I don't know my county very well, but she does almost 2,000 tours a year on her llama alpaca farm. So she got a pretty giant operation, a lot of people coming by, and she actually has a farm store on the premise, which it lends itself to your all's products. And also she does stuff on video as well. She does Zoom tours, which have been worked out for her really well. So anyway, it's just something I had zero awareness of, and wanted to share with you. There, as someone once said to me, I know there's a pony in that barn somewhere. So there you go. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit. I've been a little bit hesitant, but I think this guy is really good, and it's about making your pitch relevant. Now, a lot of this stuff from Techstars and Y Combinator, it's about pitching investors. But realistically, what this guy has to say actually applies, for example, if you're doing an agritourism show, right? You're essentially pitching yourself in those kinds of situations. And if you do live video streaming, when we get to that, you're also pitching yourself. So there's a lot of stuff to learn from this, even if it isn't necessarily directly relevant for you in terms of raising money, but the messaging and how you go about doing your pitch and all that kind of stuff, I think you'll find helpful. So we're going to start off with that today. And so let me share my screen, and hopefully it'll work today like it hasn't too well. Let's see. Okay. Now, hopefully you're seeing that. And so this is your pitch is critical.
I'm David Mandel. I am the founder and CEO of Pivot Desk. We help entrepreneurs find room to grow their businesses. We went through Techstars in 2012 here in Boulder, and have been busting our asses to try and grow the business ever since. Prior to doing startups, Pivot Desk was actually my fourth startup, but prior to doing startups, most of my career was actually marketing, PR, communications in Manhattan. A couple of agencies, worked for a couple of really big firms, a couple of really big clients. So I have some background in messaging, positioning, and pitching, and that kind of thing. Now, you guys, I know, haven't gotten deep into the pitch yet. Some of you probably think you're okay at it because we've gone through some mentor meetings and I've heard them, but trust me, you suck. And you suck just because no one's really told you the right way to pitch your business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Inherent in the pitch is a lot of things that we'll get into. This is not just about pitching a demo day. And that's like the biggest point I want to make here, right? Like, demo day is a single day event. What we're going to talk about today is how you're going to pitch your business for the rest of your career in this business. And I joke around a lot, but I'm actually dead serious. If you're the CEO or any senior executive at a startup, and someone breaks into your house or apartment at 3 a.m, rests you up on the shoulders and says, "What do? You sit up and you pitch." Right? And if you can't do that, you don't have the pitch down. You will be so goddamn sick of this pitch, but that's okay. That's how it should be, because no one else has heard it. Right? You've heard it over and over and over. But remember, you've got to get out of your own shorts. Right? People aren't here listening to you every day. They've never heard it. So you've got to have it down. It's got to be reactionary. It's got to be ingrained. And you've got to keep iterating on it. So it's a very, very important thing. And I'll get into some of the reasons why as we kind of go forward. So why is the pitch critical? The pitch does a couple of things for your business, right? And a lot of the feedback I get from Techstars companies when I talk to them earlier on in the program is, I don't worry about my pitch yet. I got to grow my business. I got to hire a dev. I got to build out the database. I've got to find customers. I've got to show growth. Like, don't fucking bug me about the pitch yet. And you're missing a really big point. The pitch is critical because, by a show of hands here in this room, how many people have too much money? How many people have too many resources? How many people have too much time and just don't know what to do with it? Right? None of you. Every single one of you is resource constrained, money constrained, people constrained. The only real weapon you have is focus. Focusing everything you do have in one direction at one goal. Because as soon as you start spreading resources, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, you're losing ground in the fight. The first thing the pitch does is keep you and your entire company focused. By having a good pitch, which is clear about why you're doing what you're doing, where you're going, why people should care, why you're different, why you're better, everybody that comes into work that day at your company knows exactly why they're doing what they're doing, what they should be doing, and what the goal is. And if something comes up on the roadmap that isn't critical to that goal, they can make a decision and understand they shouldn't be wasting their time there. So the pitch is really important to keep you focused. The second thing it does is it helps you test your business. If you think you've nailed the pitch and no one's reacting, you haven't nailed the business. So you need to keep figuring out what's right and what's wrong. Right? So this is a lot more than getting up on stage and pitching at demo day. This is about keeping your business focused, moving forward in a very specific way, and helping you drive success in your company. Do we understand that? Because that's really important, because I always get, oh, don't bug me about the pitch. And then I sit down with the team, like, what do you guys do? It's like, well, here's what we do, and we do this. And then I ask another, it's like, well, we kind of do this too, and like we kind of do bullshit, right? You all have to be the same. And everyone in your company should know the pitch. Everyone. This is not just about the person that's pitching the business. So let's get into like the first big lesson about pitching in startups. And this, like, if you remember one thing from this talk, remember this. Nobody gives a shit what you do. You think it's really cool. You're in your office every day building shit and doing cool stuff. Nobody gives a shit what you do. They only care about how you're going to help them. And this is like, I can tell you 99.9% of the startups I talk to do this wrong. I said, hey, tell me about your business. It's like, well, we're a connected network of interplanetary social, local, mobile applications that helps you evolve data from here to here. And I don't give a fuck. That's what you do. I don't care what you do. What I care about is how you're going to help me. Why are you going to make my life different? Don't ever tell me what you do. Tell me why I should care, and I'll give you an example. So Pivot Desk is a technology-enabled real estate platform that handles monthly financial and communication transactions between leaseholders and tenants. That's what we do. It's exactly what we do every day. How interesting is that? Someone asked me, what's Pivot Desk? Come on. Thanks for asking. Real estate is static. Businesses are dynamic. When you're out there busting your ass to build your business, the last thing you want to do is bet your business on a 5-year lease when you don't even know how big you're going to be 5 months from now. Pivot Desk helps you grow your business the way it should grow, not the way real estate dictates, by helping you either share your extra space with a company that needs it, or finding the right space for now without committing to a long-term lease. Understand the difference?
Sorry about the language, guys. I forgot how bad this guy cussed.
Nobody gives a shit what you do. They care about why you're going to make their life better. So inherent in that is emotion. Nobody buys because of logic. They buy because of emotion. They justify the purchase with logic. So start with emotion. If you cannot open up an emotional window in your target audience's mind, they will not care about you. What that does is gives you the permission to go deeper. You have to understand their pain. Really, businesses are built on pain and making pain go away. So until you can open that emotional window, understand their pain and understand what they're dealing with, they won't give you the permission to go deeper. Once they feel an emotional connection with what you're doing, then they're more than happy to say, okay, cool, tell me how that works. How do I do this? How do I get involved? Or how are you better than this? Right now you have an opportunity to talk more and to go deeper and to really connect with who your audience is. So like, I know the pain of my audience. We talked about the entrepreneurial pain just now, right? But there's a lot of other constituents in who we serve, right? There's brokers, there's landlords. I know every single one of their pain. And I know how to communicate with them. And I'll give you a great, like, real example that you'll get in a second. So we were invited, CBRE in LA hosted an event for all like real estate tech companies to come set up little booths, and then everyone had like a 90-second pitch to talk about what they were doing for all their brokers. And it was probably 60 or 70 brokers. And it was just a big line of CEOs like getting up and doing their 90-second pitch. And I was, I think, 14th or 15th in line. And you could tell, like, after the third or fourth person, every single broker in the audience was like this. Just sitting on their phone, doing their email, completely numb to what was going on. And I saw this, I'm like, oh, good, this is gonna suck. So I gotta like do something different. So I get up there, and before I start my pitch, say, hey, I'm David Mandel, I'm the CEO of Pivot Desk. I started Pivot Desk because I fucking hate real estate. Every single broker stood up, put their phone down, and started listening. I said, I hate real estate because it puts you between a rock and a hard place when you're trying to help customers. You spend your life stuck between a static infrastructure and dynamic companies and trying to fit those two together, not making anybody happy, struggling with both sides. What I want to do is give you a tool, a solution that lets you help your customers in a way that you become their partner, not a salesperson, and still helps you close the leases that your landlords are demanding. And then everybody listened. So you understand the difference of emotion? I went right for their pain point. I shocked them, and they went right for their pain point. And that's why they gave me the permission to talk more about what it is I do. Otherwise, no one, not a single person in that audience would have remembered who we were. Yes?
So really, you have a set of pitches that are context sensitive. So when you were talking about making sure everybody in your company knows your pitch, do they all have to have all of those and know when to use the right one? Or
I have one pitch. I start it a little differently based on who I'm talking to. But I know how you deal every day trying to help customers that's why Pivot Desk works. We help companies grow their business the way it should grow. But so we go right into the same pitch every time. But think of it this way, you need one pitch that works for every audience. You may start it off slightly differently depending on who you're talking to, but it's the same damn pitch. And once you're finished, you can go in either direction you want. The pitch is all about connecting and getting the opportunity to say more.
So with your target and the different constituents, I guess obviously you were able to find a commonality between us poor bastards who are trying to rent space and the people who are trying to take our money.
Yeah. I could start without any different intro, regardless of who my audience is. And I do this often, like when I talk at either startup conferences or real estate conferences or broker, it's the same pitch. It works for every single one of them because they all understand the pain of the ecosystem that they live in. They have different motivations, and that's what I go to afterwards. But it's always the same pitch. So let's talk about the actual meat of how this works, right? So this is the positioning framework. Who's your target audience? What's their pain? What's your value prop? Who are your competitors? And what's your differentiation? You have to know these things about your business. You have to be able to very, very specifically define each of these things. And when I say specifically, I mean specifically. I talk to a lot of companies like, who's your target market? It's like, well, this is kind of cool for everyone. Like if you're trying to sell to everyone, you're not going to sell to anyone. You don't have the marketing budget, the bandwidth, the time to try and sell anything to everyone. Pick who they are. Understand their pain. Understand why they care, why they should care. What's your real value prop? Competitors. When I say competitors, it doesn't necessarily have to be another business that does what you do or close to what you do. Your competitors could be time on your phone. It could be hanging out with your kid. Like, what are the things distracting people? Or what are the other things people will be doing except other than using your product or service? So understand what you're competing with and differentiation. Why are you better? Why should they care? So let's go actually think it through. So these are the sentences you should be writing. Once you get these down, this becomes your positioning. I don't mean verbatim, right? So you heard me talk about Pivot Desk before. I didn't say this, but all of this was in there, right? You have to know this first. So who's your target audience? Very specifically. Entrepreneurs trying to figure out where to put their business. Brokers trying to close deals for companies that they can't help or couldn't help before or are frustrated. Right? Very, very specific. Pain. Don't want to commit to a long-term lease or are trying desperately to find a space that works for both their customer and their landlord. Tired of signing leases that aren't good for their business. Like, what is their specific pain that you're addressing? Value prop. We help you grow your business the way it should grow, not the way real estate dictates. We help you find solutions for customers you could never help before. We help you become their partner instead of a salesperson. As opposed to the traditional way, where you have to bet your business on a lease that you have no idea is right for your business, or you have to risk pissing off a customer or client because they end up in a bad lease, or you have to say no to somebody because you can't help them in the traditional option. We look at it differently. We provide a matching marketplace that helps you find space for companies that can't sign a lease yet, or helps you help your companies that signed a long-term lease and have no idea when they're going to need all of it by finding the right companies for them to share that space with. Right, and I'll go deeper, but you have to have these answers as specifically as possible to understand your business. If you can't answer any of these right now, you need to figure it out. Remember, this is not your pitch, but this is the basis, the framework, the whole foundation of your pitch. Until you know these things, you cannot get up and pitch well. Finally, this isn't easy. People want to do this quickly. They're going to leave this meeting and you're going to write your positioning down and you say, okay, I'm done. You're not. This takes a lot of work. a lot of iteration, a lot of testing. Once you think you have it down, start pitching people. See their reaction. Is it resonating with them? Is it clicking? Are you making your point, or are they left with a quizzical look on their face? Or do they say, oh, that's kind of cool, and then they walk away? Because they don't really give a shit. They just don't want to insult you. When they look at you when you pitch, are they saying, oh, I get that. That's very cool. Where do I learn more? How do I figure that out? Or I know someone that needs that. Right? That's the kind of reaction you need. And that comes from iteration. Continually practicing and changing. When we went through Techstars, I think we had, I don't know what the final count was, but somewhere around 80 different versions of our pitch before demo day. And it's changed since demo day. But I will never forget, like, and I'm good at this shit, right? Like, I've done this before. It's still fucking hard, especially doing it for yourself. Like, I can help anyone in this room like that. When I try and do it for myself, it's hard. Because you want to say everything, right? You want to talk about all the wonderful things you're doing. And you don't want to miss anything because you're not sure what thing is that's going to really matter. And you can't. It's all about simplicity. And simplicity is really complex, right? It takes getting rid of a lot of stuff, right? What's the really critical thing to say first? So you have the opportunity to say the rest. It is constant work, constant. And you should always be tweaking it and testing it and watching the emotion and seeing how people react and trying different things until you get it down. And once you get it down, you say it over and over and over. So at any point in time, you can launch into your pitch. I have like keywords and phrases for my pitch that in any conversation launch me right into my pitch. Like I said when I started, if someone breaks into your house or apartment at 3 a.m, shakes your shoulders and says, what do? You sit up and you fucking pitch. That's your job. It's not optional. It's not something you can delegate. And you do it for the life of your company. I convinced one time the global CEO of Deloitte Consulting that this is how it worked. We were repositioning the whole company. I launched, for those of you who don't know, I actually launched the Deloitte Consulting brand in the mid-90s. I was their managing director of global communications. I was working with the global CEO. And I was walking him through this, and like 3 weeks into it, he said, David, I am goddamn sick of it. I can't say it again. I said, Pat, I don't care. You have to keep saying it. Every phone call you have, every interview you have, every time you talk to your employees or your customers or anyone, you have to say it. And about 3 months in, he called me in. He had just finished like an interview with the Journal or something. He looked at me and said, I think it's working. I said, it's just starting. He was like, oh. But that's how it works.
Okay. I forgot how much that guy cusses in there. I hope that didn't offend anybody too much. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to work toward brand building and creating your brand or making your brand easier to understand. All the things that we've been doing in the last week or so are aimed toward that process, which we're going to be getting into either next week or the week after. I'm waiting to hear from a guest speaker that I'd really like you all to hear. So I want to tie him in. But even though you aren't necessarily, pitching at a demo day to a bunch of venture capital people, you are, in fact, perhaps you're at a fancy food show, the Taste of Carolina, and you're talking to, potential buyers that are walking through the show, or even directly with a store buyer, if you're into that, right? Or whoever your audience is, it makes it much easier for them to understand what it is that you do. And also your clear communication and your clear value proposition will either connect with them or it won't. And if it connects with them, they won't forget you. They'll remember that you were X and Y, right? They'll know you don't have to cuss like that guy did, but you can make, statements about why your product solves the problem that potential audience has. Even to the point where if you're doing live video streaming where you're selling your product live, that same sort of communication comes in handy. That clear messaging of what you're doing and what your product solves for that audience, whoever that audience might be. So even though he uses the word pitch all the time, I don't see it as a pitch. I see it as your message, your brand message. What are you about? What is it that you do? And he used the example of someone breaking into your house and you sit up and you pitch. I personally would probably get up and either run out the door or shoot if I had a gun, which I do not. But the point is clear. It has to just be automatic in your mind. And it doesn't have to be a big strain to communicate it. And if someone asks you a question that's maybe a little bit complicated, or perhaps it goes down the wrong path, you can easily respond in context and in along with who you are and what your brand's about. Because frankly, you all are in a very unique position. You have a business that is very difficult for anybody to compete with if you're able to communicate who you are and what you're trying to do. It's not about price. To me, it's not even necessarily about being on a particular shelf. To me, it's what are you doing? Why are you doing this? We talked about that in the beginning of what is our why? This all ties in, right? It's all part of this journey of really clearly understanding what you're trying to doing, why you're doing it, and then how you're doing it. And our job here, our goal is to help you down that path. So that's the overarching thing that I'm kind of keeping in my mind and trying to make sure the content is relevant to you all. But I think that this kind of thinking, he said this work is really hard. He said that they did 80 versions of their pitch before one particular event, the demo day, as he called it. It is hard. This is not stuff that people normally do. You tend to focus on how am I going to produce my product or how am I going to package it? And, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do on a daily basis. This is a higher level task, a higher level thinking. Okay. It's really above the process steps that you also have to do. You have to do everything. I'm not trying to get you off the hook. You got to do it all. But if you know why you're doing it and what problem you're solving for customers, you might find yourself motivated. You might find yourself in a situation where, man, I'm really doing good things. I'm really solving a problem here. So that's what we're trying to do here with this segment of the class, is get you in a place where you're really, really crystal clear about why you're doing what you're doing and then how you're going to do it. And also he made some really good observations about how do people react when you tell them? Do they turn away? Do they go, oh, really? I'd like to know more. These are all signals for you that it really can help you a lot in understanding what you should be doing and what's not working and what is working. I think in the context of your brand and your story. So with that, I'll open it up to observations or questions or however you guys want to talk about this. Chris, why don't you say, you probably have some ideas.
I would just add, so along the lines of what you're saying, two things that have really helped me understand who our customer is and what they struggle with is one-on-one conversations that I've done before with another group that I've been involved with, and just reaching out to, a handful of customers and saying, do you have 20 minutes to spare that would you help me with conversation? And it's amazing being very specific about the time you want. You kind of have your list of questions, how much they're willing to share. And I had a conversation Friday with Kime, and going to markets as the owner of the business is a great way to get feedback and listen to your customers that are buying your products, and really kind of understanding what words they're using. So if you ask them why they buy it, how they're using it, so you can start hearing the words that they use to talk about your product or how they use your product, so you can just repeat their words back to them. If you're using their pain, their words for their pain, and you can repeat it back to them, that will help you reach out to your target people too, I think.
Yeah, that is reminiscent, at least in my background, of focus groups. Focus groups go maybe a little bit further, where you actually pay people to be part of a group and do market research and all that kind of stuff. But it's along the same kind of lines. And I credit you, Chris, and Kime for thinking about that. But I think also, I think it's important to realize that there's limits to all of this stuff, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much someone might actually say to you, especially face to face, that maybe you need to hear also. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a great methodology. And I think that the more you listen to your customers, in context, some customers will have lots of opinion, and they're not a very good customer, right? They don't buy very much. So, you kind of have to balance all of that stuff. But I think that's really great. Kime, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation?
I'm still working on this. I've been fortunate enough to have this class for more than one opportunity. And you can tell when you ask, or when you tell us a little bit about it, every time it's changed, and I'm still stumbling over my words, so I haven't got it right either. And it is hard, and we're working through it. But I agree with Chris. Your customers will tell you. And even if you didn't want to have a face-to-face, if you can collect those email and send out email chains and give them a quick survey, give them a 10% discount, give them something as a idea to answer your questions and give you some ideas or thoughts process. That's an excellent opportunity, because you're what they're giving you and what you're giving them, you're gaining way more than what you're giving up. So it's an easy way to do that and connect with your customers without actually having to be face to face and take that time. But 3 to 5 question survey, absolutely wonderful idea to get some feedback.
Yeah, that's great. What I'm just going to throw this out here. This may sound weird and completely out of context, but it's something that I've done in business for a lot of years, especially when you ask someone their opinion or a question. The first thing they say to you is what they think you expect or what you want to hear. So I always like to say, I understand that. In addition to that, is there anything else you'd like to tell me? Or is there anything else you can share? And that's like the drop in the flag on people really telling you what's up. So I've had really good success over the years with that kind of approach. And so it's something you might keep in mind. I see a lot of activity here on the chat, and we will get all the social media and everybody. Probably what we'll do is put it on the Facebook group. I think that's easiest, unless somebody has a better idea. But we will get everyone's social media and so forth. It's not too hard to find, actually, but we'll make an effort there. Grant, if you can take a note and make that a project, we'll do that. Yeah, Donna, what'd you say?
Well, I know for us, when we first started, we were really excited, and that's what also helps move your business along, is your excitement behind it. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you don't talk the people to death when you're telling them about your business, because the time is limited for everyone, and interest level might not be there for everyone like it is for you. So just be cautious and not talk too much. I know I tend to find myself doing that. And the next thing you know, the person is, swaying back and forth and such and that kind of thing. Kind of saw that some at the farmer's market. But then there's others that just want to know more and more about your business. So you kind of have to take a look at that as you go person to person.
I think that's really good advice. And I think also what I've noticed, particularly in the last couple of years, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, right? And they think it's this glamorous, we all know it's a slog and a half, but keep in mind that some of these people are excited about the fact that you are an entrepreneur and what you're doing, not even the details of what you're doing. I run into that all the time because of my position here at ECU, but that's something to keep in mind also, and just make sure you understand, is this person helpful to you, or are they just trying to get something from you that can motivate them, particularly in the excitement arena, Donna. Enthusiasm and excitement is so rare, particularly in corporate America, that somebody comes around, is all happy, they want to go, what the hell's that? What's that? I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but man, look at the smile on her face, So I think that's something to keep in mind too. Anyone else have anything they want to?
I'd like to say something, if that's okay, Dennis. I thought
No, it's not okay. I'm sorry, Samantha. No, you got to work on this. I just tell a quick story. So when I was working with Pop Shop Live to get that whole thing going for the first time, and a bunch of you all have participated in that, I got a call from the CEO, and she said to me, I just want to tell you, your people are so nice. I just laughed. I said, welcome to North Carolina. Anyway, go ahead, Samantha. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I thought that was a really excellent presentation. I really got a lot out of that. And I think, speaking from my own story, when you start with a product that is so close to you, your brand is your product, rather than thinking that you have a brand and basically you're just trying to sell the product all the time. So the two are so interconnected that I think it's always been hard to find that what my pitch is, because my pitch has always been my product rather than my company, what my company does. So that differentiation, and then as one's company grows and changes, and that you have various products. It's not just a type of product, but it could be a multitude of various products. How that then changes your pitch, because your pitch is no longer just one product, but it's a whole bunch of products, or it could be and it's changed, it evolves just like anything. It's a living human, it's a living being, not a human thing, but your company it grows, it changes, it evolves, and you have to change with it. But I found that really, really I love the presentation. I got a lot out of it. And I'd like to know if we want to exchange sort of pitches with each other and stuff as well.
Sure. We can do that. Yeah, we can schedule a pitch day or a demo day. And we can do that. I'm happy to do that. I'll put that ball in your court, Samantha, if you want to take time, and we can get on the calendar. No problem. I'm going to sound a little bit like a guru type thing here, but I can't resist because of this opportunity. So one of the big things that I'm a big fan of, I don't know what the right word is, but the difference between linear thinking and exponential thinking. Okay, so linear thinking is something that we're all taught in school, because as we progress through the different subjects and the different grades, it's kind of this linear path, forward. But the world is really an exponential world. It's not a linear world. So what Samantha just described was really exponential growth. I'm not trying to say it's Apple Computer, but she went from a product and describing that product and feeling like that was her. Now she's realizing she has more than one product and she has a brand. So it's just an example of, are you thinking in a linear way, or are you thinking exponentially. And we'll revisit that subject, but it is something that's near and dear to my heart. This whole idea that things are not in some nice little orderly progression like we have often thought. It's actually nothing like that. In fact, it even probably borders on chaos in addition to exponential chaos. That'll be the title of my book. But anyway, I couldn't resist that opportunity to throw that into the mix. But seriously, Samantha, or anyone else wants to help her, and really it's just a matter of picking a date, and we'll put it on the calendar, and everyone can kind of work on it, and we can say that was great, or I think you might consider doing this or that. I think it's a great outcome. A lot of accelerators like Techstars, they actually culminate in what they call a demo day, and their demo day kind of goes a step further because the audience are all potential investors. That's who they're pitching to. So it's a little bit different in our case. We don't really have a pool of investors really that I feel comfortable bringing to you all at this point. But that is something we could work toward. And I think this pitch demo is a really good starting point. And Grant can help you schedule-wise, organizationally wise, Samantha. I don't mean to lay it on your lap, but I think it's really helpful.
This is Ruth. Samantha and I have worked together for a long time on the Specialty Foods Board, and I can tell that because Sam, I was going to have that similar idea. The guy really resonated with me when he talked about how that it was easy to do this for somebody else, but not for yourself, because I've done it for years for cloud products or whatever. But I find it really challenging to do it for myself. So I love the idea of doing a pitch day or whatever practice.
Okay. We'll make it happen. There are also little tricks you can do, and this may sound psychotic, but you can pretend that you are an employee of the business, or you're reporting to the boss if you're used to that construct. So sometimes it works. You can make it that you're doing it for the boss or for somebody other than yourself. It's just kind of a weird little trick that may be helpful. I don't know. No. Anyone else? Okay. All right. I'm just reading some of the notes here. I agree, Kat. This is not something, we have some time. We're still in the early part of this course. So, I'd like to see it maybe in the, maybe toward the end of March, third week of March, something like that. Might be a good time to aim at. Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to add at this point? Okay. All right. Tomorrow we're going to talk about goals, and it all fits into the same sort of thing. We're actually going in a linear path, despite my best intentions to make it exponential. But we're going to move toward this branding process. So setting goals, it's just a way of doing it, and a way of hearing how somebody has successfully done that. So that will be tomorrow. And then also kind of related, Wednesday, we're going to be our first presentation from Y Combinator, and it's how to prioritize your time. It fits in with this whole thing. And then Thursday, we're not going to have class, so we'll break until the following Monday. So if you're on the Facebook group, I see all these messages. I don't know how to copy it. Maybe Grant does. We can get that on the Facebook or somewhere where we can retrieve it after this class is over. That'll be great. So that's all I have for us today. So we'll see everyone tomorrow. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can be of any help.
Dennis, I think there's a way you can save the chat before you close the session from the administrator.
All right, let me see here. Okay, let's see what this does. No, that didn't work. Grant, do you know how to do this?
I'm looking at it right now, Dennis.
Oh, I see something called save chat.
Yeah, that's it.
It says chat save, but I don't know where the hell it is. Okay, there it is. Okay.
I'm working on it too.
It's in my, I don't know what this is somewhere, but I'll send it to you, Grant. So we can figure it out. Thank you, Ruth. I've only been doing this for a year and a half, and I'm like a retard. I still don't know how. No, I'm sorry, that's not the right thing to say. I'm intellectually challenged in how to use some of these tools, unfortunately. So, okay. All righty. Thanks, Donna. Got your message. So we'll see everyone tomorrow.